Hello, hello.
You're on, Dr. Lee. We are in the home run.
Oh, amazing. All right. Thanks,
Home,
doctor.
home stretch.
Yeah. Amazing. Beautiful. All right. Feels like the last scene of Avatar where we're coming back together for the home stretch here. And consciousness reserves the right when one car is going towards a four intersection highway, another car is going to a four intersection highway. They're going to get green 50% of the time. But consciousness reserves the right when the survival of a species depends upon it to give one group a green light and the other not so. And I believe kind of we're in that last scene right now where, they're going for Mother Tree, they're going for the resources, they're fracking, they're going for the blood of Mother Earth, they're going for all of the resources, and this hyper masculine competitive need for greed, third dimensional construct is swiftly falling apart. And we're starting to realize and understand that those who love peace must learn to organize and communicate and collaborate better than those who love war for the survival of Mother Earth. And the animals are coming together right now, and the consciousness of the plant psilocybin is stepping up and saying, hey, here we are. Creator has sent its finest warriors, its finest doctors, its finest organizers, its finest film crews right now, and we're coming together right now to collaborate, communicate. And it's a very scientific process of how this happens, because make no mistake about it, we're living in that beautiful, beautiful time where science and spirituality are kissing. And in the past, there used to be the sentiment, oh, great spirit, the great mystery, you can never understand it. But in all actuality, Einstein and Tesla both were ahead of their time, and they said the future of medicine is frequency. And I believe that the future is right now. There is no time, only consciousness moving through different densities. And so when we can take our consciousness and when it's protected, we can journey in our consciousness to any time space orientation, and perhaps even to the past, and stand before eternal councils and let them know that, hey, listen, if we don't get our things straight right now, this is what's going to happen to Mother Earth. So I'm very appreciative and grateful right now that the limitlessness of ourselves, of humanity, is being revealed, and we're starting to realize who we really are. And the greatest war that's ever been told is not on drugs. It's been on consciousness. It was the war on consciousness, not the war on drugs. And so we are multidimensional, not third dimensional. And so I just want to take this time now to come into the truth, for the truth will set us free, and we are free indeed. So I'm just going to set the frequency here. By the love of eternal source, we are setting a barrier now around everyone in this meeting, in this call, unconditional love on the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual plane. Bubble of unconditional love now covers this meeting. By the truth of eternal source, we stand. The truth will set us free, and we are free indeed. And we have come, we have come, we have come. We are here, we are here, we are here. I know who we are in truth. I know how we serve in truth. We are free. We are free, we are free. Freedom is our birthright, and our children will grow up on free land. By the power of eternal source, we fly. Permission now for each one of us to step into our power unapologetically, ourselves, unprogrammed, unconditioned, meant to be a unique oscillatory reflection of source. By the way of eternal source go I, by the grace of original eternal source, I now sanctify and renew this meeting, this gathering, this mission, this legalization of our plant relatives, this mission, all of my timelines and all within, into the eternal perpetual protection here in set, that the spirit of Earth Sala rise. That's new earth frequencies. The power of Earth Sala heal, and the wisdom of Earth Sala is now here within, presiding. Thy kingdom, queendom come. Thy will is now being done on earth as it is in the highest heavens. And what a joy and an honor it is to be alive during this fascinating, important inflection point in humanity's history, where people's higher selves are coming alive, the great awakening, the lifetime we have waited for. And love wins, higher oscillation and trains lower vibration. So we always come back to love. LOVE, love is all I need, connecting everything together. It's what's cohesive power of the universe that keeps my atoms together, my cells together, my family together, that holds this universe together. And fear is false evidence appearing real. So we step into love and connection to our authentic true selves. We step into this meeting to discuss now and communicate about how we can create and fulfill these prophecies that have long been foretold. And we are the ones we've been looking for. So we thank you in advance with great joy. Taisha and Kidori, Taisha and Kidori, Taisha and Kidori, spoken as it is stated now, and so it is done. So why don't we go ahead and just as a group here, synchronize our biorhythms and our intentions for peace on earth, a lesser peace on earth to start happening by 2030. That's been shown in vision. Let's go ahead and synchronize our breath. Take a slow, deep breath into your heart. And let it all go. It is done. And one more slow, deep breath into the heart. And let it all go. Seeing and feeling and visualizing everything that's already done. Giving gratitude. Just one more slow, deep breath into the heart. And let it all go. Well, what a joy and honor it is to be here. I'm in Thailand, so it's midnight right now. And so just wanted to talk about something that has been very dear to my heart, and it's my truth. I said Tesla and Einstein both said the future of medicine is frequency. I believe that future is now. I'm a board certified psychiatrist, but I quit my job as a psychiatrist about 7 years ago, and I started praying for the liberation of all sentient beings, pumping Kundalini for about 2 hours a day. Show me what I need to see, tell me what I need to do. And so what I found at the end of that was this science called quantum morphogenetic physics. And so part of my healing journey has been to experience every personal psychiatric condition personally. So what science calls, PTSD, major depressive disorder 3 to 4 times, generalized anxiety disorder, all of these things I experienced. And then I became a psychiatrist, and I realized Western medicine was not treating the root cause of all these things. And so I had to go on a very deeply personal healing journey, which led me all around, yoga teaching, breathwork certifications, all the podcasts, journeying, really trying to heal myself. It led me to the Amazon, where I worked with ayahuasca. I worked with all the different plants, the cactus, they were all part of my healing journey until the plants told me that I was done. And at the end of all of this, what I found was a science called quantum morphogenetic physics. And if I had one message today, that message is, you are who you've been looking for. And science says, take a look within and you will find you are who you've been looking for. But what does that even mean? Dr. Lee, take a look within where? Where do you want me to look within? Well, I'll tell you, it's your intron potential DNA. The DNA that scientists used to call junk DNA, 90 to 97% of our DNA between the double-stranded helix is not junk, it's potential DNA. And the 4th, 5th, and 6th stranded DNA is your soul, a less dense version of me existing right now, a carbon crystalline matrix. The 7th, 8th, and 9th stranded DNA is your oversoul. And it's a frequency, pure crystalline matrix, less dense version of my soul. It's your oversoul. And your 10th, 11th, 12th stranded DNA is your avatar, inner Christos self. Therefore, Jesus said, you shall do even greater things than me. But what was he talking about? Well, yeah, when you activate your 12 stranded DNA, your avatar, inner Christos, every DNA strand is a level of frequency, a new level of perception, access to a dimension. It's represented by a color. It's very intelligent, and it's a new level of mind. So the 6th DNA strand, you want to see an angel, look in the damn mirror and activate your 6th DNA strand. That's your angelic mind. Your 10th, 11th, 12th stranded DNA, right, is your Christic mind, Buddhaic mind, and your if you want to call it your nirvanic mind, right? So why do you even want to try to activate your 12-stranded DNA? Because if you do, your potential to serve humanity at one of its most important inflection points in history is limitless. And so I think it's really important to know when you take any type of journey or trip, you want to know, where am I going? Oh, okay, well, I'm taking a trip to Thailand. Cool. So especially in the invisible world, you really want to know before you take any trip, where am I going? But most importantly, why am I going there? What is my sacred why? What is my intention? Because intention is a frequency that exists between matter. Intention has infinite organizing power. And so these questions are very important. Why, how am I going to get there? How long do I want to be there? So what we want to realize right now, as psychedelics is blowing up and a lot of people are doing psychedelics, we want to understand, where are we planning or intending to go in the invisible world? Because everything is a frequency. Everything lies on the bandwidth of dimensions, and a frequency, and falls into one of these dimensions. It's very important to know, where am I going? And so not only that, it's more important to know, why am I going there? And so when you take your eye mask off in the middle of the journey and you look to your guide and you ask them, where am I? Hopefully you're working with a guide who understands the invisible realm and how to navigate the invisible realm and how to protect you in the invisible realm, because it's really important. So when I, facilitate journeys, I always tell people, where are we going? Well, I said, you are who you've been looking for. So we're trying to connect you to your soul, which is a dimension, which is a less dense version of you, which is your fourth, fifth, and sixth stranded DNA. But before we try to connect you to you, we want to make sure that we're oscillating past the lower fourth astral realm, the fourth dimension. Why? Because there's a lower fourth astral realm. That's where disembodied energies and entities come out. And a lot of people who are doing psychedelic medicine without even knowing it right now go to the Amazon or whatever it is and work with a shaman, and they come back and they're tagged in the astral world by a disembodied energy or entity. And you want to talk about the root cause of addiction, nobody's talking about the attached entity that is leased on, that is causing a fractured soul or whatever you want to call it, and feeding off of this soul, right? And nobody's treating that. Therefore, people go into rehab facilities, get a little bit of symptomatic treatment and come out, but nobody's treating the root cause. Yeah, I think someone wrote on here, which is trauma. So it's not what's the addiction, it's the one that what's the underlying trauma. So you want to oscillate past the lower fourth astral realm and connect with the less dense version of you. Why? Because this level of you has access to information. It has access to levels of perception. It knows why you're here, what you're here to do, what order to do it. It knows how to heal and in what order to heal. And once you know, you cannot not know. Okay. And so that's why we want to go there. And so, we've been seeing a lot of fascinating things happen in the psychedelic world. And so I think the future of medicine is frequency. And I believe the future is now. And a lot of people will say, well, it's the great mystery. You cannot understand that. But, I challenge you, study quantum morphogenetic physics for 7 years, then we'll talk. And really put that time and effort in, because science and spirituality are kissing right now. And there is an explanation to all of these things Nikola Tesla was talking about, priori and Reich, resonant frequencies. And so I wanted to open up that conversation today about plant medicine, psychedelics, and frequency, because everything is a frequency, quantum morphogenetic physics, Casey. And the way that I operate best usually is through Q&A. So I'm not one to actually go up and just start talking. I would love to see if anybody has any questions or comments, and open it up to a group dialogue, and see if anyone has any questions, and see if we can delve deeper into this topic. So just wanted to open that up, and let you know, if I had one message, that message is, you are who you've been looking for. And go within where? Into your intron potential DNA. And the language of our DNA, our potential DNA. See, scientists were only looking at what you can see. It's what you don't see. Metaphysics is the cause. Metaphysics is thoughts, beliefs, attitudes, words, sound, light, frequency, what you cannot see. And the brain is the administrator of the frequencies. And metaphysics is the cause. Well, physics is the effect, what becomes matter, right? So when I speak this word, I am this, I am love, I am joy, I am. Well, guess what's happening right now? When I speak these words oscillate and resonate into the water because my body is water, made up of 90 something percent water weight. Dr. Emoto has proven that water absorbs and crystallizes into the words I just spoken. Well, consciousness binds to water. And so when I speak, I am this, I am, it resonates and oscillates through the water, which absorbs it, crystallizes it into the potential intron DNA, which, if it's in bioresonance, oscillates like a piano, therefore affecting epigenetics. Therefore, the words I spoke coding for proteins, and proteins are the building blocks of life. Therefore, words matter. Words become matter. Frequency, what we do not see. Metaphysics is the cause, which becomes physics, which is the effect, which is proteins, what we do see. And so it's what we do not see, which manifests. And if you want to know if you have a good doctor, go to a doctor. When you leave that office, you have a changed attitude. You go from, I can't cure this cancer. And when you leave that, you say, oh, not only can I cure cancer, but it's my attitude, my words, my thoughts, which is the first step to getting that done. It changes my perception, because if you change your perception, every vibration which comes into your brain, which administers that frequency, perception is like a frequency filter, will be filtered into that. And so you will be literally creating new proteins, new building blocks of life. And the isolated cancer cells, which are literally as within, so without, cells that think they're alone and are replicating so fast because they think they need to survive, will slowly start getting the message of cohesiveness, because love is the cohesive power of the universe. Love is what holds everything together. Love is what holds my sanity together, holds my cells together, holds everything together. And so once the cancer cells get the message that they're connected, they don't have to replicate. They're taken care of. They're connected to the other cells. They're being replenished through my brain, which is administering those frequencies. Then the cancer will stop. So if you want to know you have a good doctor, go to a doctor who changes your attitude. So let me go ahead and see. I think there was one comment coming in right now, and see if I can find that. For some reason, I can't see the chat.
Doctor, there was one question. Could you repeat the quantum physics intron?
Yeah.
Slowly.
Thanks. Yeah, sure. It's quantum morphogenetic physics. Quantum morphogenetic physics. Yeah. The science of bioregenesis. A long time ago, they used to call it Keylontic science, Keylontic science. If you Google that, you're going to find all kinds of interesting things. So it's really important to know what source you're coming from. A lot of the science is, yeah, you can find a lot of interesting things out there. So always take what resonates with your DNA and leave what doesn't. Energy cannot lie. So take what resonates with your DNA and leave what doesn't, right? Because there you'll find the truth of, sound cannot lie. Light can bend and refract, but sound cannot lie. So, behind the sound and intention of my word, that's where you find the intention of my word. So take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Yeah. Does anyone have, there it is. So Casey's writing something, but I cannot, let's see what it says. Quantum morphogenetic physics. What path do you recommend to start and or continue educating myself on this topic of intron DNA? Okay, that's a really good question. When I first found this wisdom, I could only take it in about 20-minute segments. Literally, it was blowing away my every single paradigm, and that's not easy. So I would, when I'm cleaning the house, I would clean the house for about, and listen to it for 20 minutes. There's a doctor named Dr. Jerry Eugenio Rivera, Rivera. He's got a podcast called Jerry Unfiltered, Jere Unfiltered, on Spotify and all platforms. Would I say that's a good starting point? Well, what I'd say is he's got a few podcasts that can start introducing you to this concept of the 12-stranded DNA. He's got one actually called Quantum Morphogenetic Physics. He's got another one called 12-stranded DNA. So there's pick and choose what your DNA resonates with. That's a really good place to start. And then there's also a book called Voyagers 2. Voyagers 2, Voyagers 2. And I think, a lot of these concepts are outdated because it was written in the 80s and a lot has happened since then, 70s or 80s. But the concepts is true. But forget about the links. Forget about like, hey, like look at this website. Forget about all that stuff. Just look at the hard science of what it's talking about. So Voyagers 2 and also Dr. Jerry's podcast, Jerry Unfiltered, is a good place to start. And I'm also currently building a 12-stranded DNA online activation series. I filmed all the videos and it's in the hands of the person who's going to create the course. So if you guys are interested when that comes out, probably in a couple months, let me know and I can connect you with that course as well. And remember, I said the language of our potential DNA. But I'm going to be honest with you. You can start reading and see if it resonates with you and studying the wisdom. But ultimately, what it came down to for me was I said, okay, this is either true. It's either completely true or completely bullshit. Because the level of detail of this science was so intricate that I knew that nobody can make this up. It's impossible. So I said, it's either true or not. And the only way for me, I'm an experienced psychiatrist. I'll never recommend anything to anyone I've never tried. So I started trying these chants and practices and sounds and frequencies and symbols. And what started happening in my life, I can never deny, right? Because once you know, you cannot not know. So the things that started happening in my life were exactly matching what I was reading. And then what started happening was, the more I studied this wisdom, the more it started reinforcing what I was, it never contradicted itself ever. It always reinforced itself. And so eventually I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, this is what, lifetimes on lifetimes on lifetimes I've been searching, right? And when I found this wisdom for me, I came to the conclusion that for me, I can stop searching. This is the wisdom that I've waited for. It's the science of how to activate your inner Christ. When we do plant medicine, I think it's important to understand the concept of DNA frequency and where are we going, why are we going there, and what protection techniques can I use to ensure safe journeys and travels. And this particular science will teach you about different protection techniques that you can utilize if you decide to take a journey in the invisible world. So I just want to open it up to everybody now. I know that was quite a opening, interesting concept for a lot of people. So yeah,
hey, go ahead. Mr. Lee, I'm here with my friend and he was listening to what you were saying. And he's wondering about what words he could focus on going into like a journey space, just meditating on his own with or without plant medicine that would take him into these higher realms that you're talking about.
It has to be extra.
Yeah, one of the foundation practices of that, one technique, it's called the Akasha, ECKASH, Akasha, which is a very high frequency word, Akasha meditation. So if you Google or YouTube ECKASHA, Akasha Quick Seal Meditation, Akasha Quick Seal Meditation. Even if you Google that, you're going to find all kinds of different stuff and read it through. But if you can master that one technique right before you go into a meditation or a plant medicine journey, it will connect you with your 12th dimensional avatar self. It will also provide a level of protection over you as you do that. So that's probably one technique I would recommend, is a foundation practice, is the Akasha Quick Seal
Can you
meditation.
spell that again? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Can you
yeah,
spell that
sure.
again?
Sure, it's ECKASHA, Akasha Quick Seal meditation, and it will start the processes of activating your Maharit shield, which is your D12 avatar shield, and it will also provide a 12th dimensional frequency protection over you. And so it's literally calling in your avatar inner Christos and connecting you to the core of Mother Earth before you go into a journey or a meditation session. So I would say start there. I think that's a really good foundation practice. You know, and yeah.
Thank you.
So
You're welcome.
go to YouTube and search ECKHA.
ASHA, Akasha, Quick Seal meditation, or Akasha technique. Google that. So start reading about it. Don't believe any words I say, right? Do your own research. So it might not resonate with you. That's okay. Probably won't resonate with about 90 something percent of people on the planet right now. But if you do resonate, amazing. You know, Google it and, you know, read about it first. Read about it, do your own research. And then if you do feel in resonance with it, you can, there's a few meditations on YouTube where you can learn how to work with this sacred symbol called the Akasha God Seed symbol. And it will start the processes of connecting, activating your Maharit shield and connecting you and protecting you with high D12 frequencies.
Thank
And
you.
connecting you. Yeah, it's a joy. Does anybody else have anything coming through for them? Any comments or questions or concerns, anything?
Hi, I'm Rachel. A lot of stuff is coming up for me. One thing I wanted to add to the Samshi's friend's question was I was thinking when you started the invocation at the beginning and you were inviting us to breathe along with you, that I had heard recently that just the basic mantra Om, saying that on the breath, actually physically stimulates the vagus nerve and helps people self-regulate the trauma. And so I wondered if part of your healing journey has included exploring mantras, ancient sound, as a way of bringing in that vibe.
Yeah, I love. Thank you so much for this question. Absolutely. You know, if you want to heal anything, go to where it first started, right? Which is sound. In the beginning, God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Sound becomes light, and sound and light and scalar waves is the language of our potential DNA. So yes, mantras and mantras are the quickest way to quiet the monkey mind, one of the quickest ways. And so there's many different types of sounds, however. So there was a 2-3 year period where I was working with the ancient Indian language of Gurumukhi, and Om is part of that. Rama is part of that, right? All these Kundalini mantras. Definitely. But what I want to also kind of speak my truth here is before ancient Egypt, before India, right? India is an ancient, very ancient spirituality. It's beautiful, super grateful for the sounds and the wisdom that comes out of India. But before India, there was a migration from ancient Egypt. Okay, and ancient Egypt, a lot of people think is where our spirituality origins begin. But before ancient Egypt, there was a migration, which a lot of history books do not record, is from Atlantis, Nohos Atlantis, right? So before Atlantis, where Noah comes from, before Atlantis, there was Lemuria. Before Lemuria, there was the 12 original celestial human tribes, and they spoke a language, the first language from which all languages derive from. The first language spoken in this universal time matrix is the language of Anuhazi, Mua Anuhazi. So if you go to Ascension Glossary, Google Ascension,
Where
Anuhazi,
And where did that language arise
Yeah.
from? Like what land or
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, so there were the 12 original celestial human tribes which were seated on Mother Earth. There's been 3 seedings on Mother Earth, and the original language that the founders races spoke was Anuhazi, Anuhazi. If you Google Ascension Glossary Anuhazi, you will find a little bit more information about this. So actually, the original sound tone was not Om, which I used to chant for a long time. Om. It was Om. And there's a lot of languages where the mother
Like the
tongue,
mother,
the
Uma,
ex,
Parvati
yeah,
Ma. Whoa,
exactly.
whoa.
Yeah. How soothing is that, right? Calling upon the mother. So yeah, the sound of is so soothing and beautiful. It's the original sound tone. And so yeah, sound is, Tesla and Einstein said it. The future of medicine will be sound, and the future is now. So yeah, sound, and the most powerful instrument is your voice, the human voice. So yes, sound, and why not go to where it all started, which is sound, and which is the language of our intron DNA. And if you want to heal anything, go to where it first started. So I really, also just because we're talking about psychedelics, one of the most beautiful things I think that we can start to do, that's why they include sound on these sacred journeys. They put an eye mask on and they listen to a sacred playlist. The sound is healing. The sound is communicating with our DNA. The sound is invoking archetypes. It's communicating with our potential DNA. Sound. So yeah, the music matters. The words matter. And so I'm very happy about this movement of psychedelics in this era, because I think a lot of us are understanding this, and we're dropping into sacred ceremonies where we're putting on eye masks, like Johns Hopkins studies, right? They're doing that, where they put on an eye mask and they listen to a playlist, and these playlists are healing as well. The sound is healing, and they induce a frequency when we go into these altered states, which can be very healing and soothing. So sound is essential, I believe, in this healing, awakening movement of psychedelics. Yeah.
I think most of people here are Washington based. I live in the Four Corners area. And so the Durango Psychedelic Society had Dr. Fred Grover down last week to speak. And he's a complementary and alternative medical physician in Colorado. I think he sometimes teaches CAM at the medical school. It was a little flaky for me, but it was interesting. They brought bowls, singing bowls, and talked about frequency mats for the treatment. I believe his clinic is providing ketamine therapy now. He refers out for psilocybin, but I think that's his spiritual dimensional exploration tool. But there was a lot of interesting, and it's on Facebook, Durango Psychedelic Society. He put up his PowerPoint. It was fascinating the way he was giving it, because the room was so unsuited. He was talking about the ideal treatment room, and again, contrasting to sort of how to do the clinical model, but maybe not, that you could never reproduce being in the forest and lying on the forest floor and to the sounds. But I just love hearing the genetic side of it all. And I wanted to ask you, Doctor, I had seen in your blurb something about that as a psychiatrist, you wanted to experience all psychiatric symptoms. And I have visions, when my eyes are closed. I don't see, like my cousin has a kind of schizophrenia where he full on sees things and talks to them in the room, and they talk to him, and then they started following him to work and decided not to go to work anymore, and is struggling with different medications. But like, how would you reproduce those different visions? Like I have, or how does your science explain visions, visitations, hallucinations because I'm like, I see angels all the time. I see deities, goddesses come alive on their statue and jump off the altar at me. And I'm like, so I told someone that, and they're like, have you told your psychiatrist? I was like, well, if my eyes were open and I hadn't been smoking pot, yeah, but I was praying. And in my mind's eye, this very lucid vision happened. And I'm like, is that from me? Is that from universal consciousness? We ended up astrally traveling to go do something. Oh, I was annoyed with Putin. I'm very annoyed with Putin. And when she jumped in, another goddess showed up that I had never, ever, ever, ever seen. And the goddess who jumped into me was not anything I had ever seen either, like not the pictures that look like it in Hinduism. She didn't have 10 arms. She had 2 arms and she only had one weapon. And when we were there in this astral plane, which I got to with the help of the second goddess, I was like, I need a weapon. And I couldn't find the weapon I wanted. But when I came out of it after a couple of days and I reached out again to the Harvard guy, I said, I need a fierce Buddhist deity. And I need a lasso. Like I knew I needed a lasso, a Wonder Woman lasso, but I didn't know where I was supposed to get this weapon. This was at the end of November. In the middle of January, I was at an anthropology archaeology museum in Philadelphia at the University of Pennsylvania. And they have some cool Egyptian stuff there. There's a Sphinx and a lot of rated stuff like you would see at the British Museum of Arts from other places that were taken by colonialism. And we walk into the Buddhist section, and off to the side, like you can't even really see it, there's something there. And I decide that I have to go look at it. Like we're headed to the left and I have to get pulled over to the right. Dude, it's Fudo. Do you know who Fudo is? He's a fierce Buddhist, wrathful guardian deity. And he's got 2 weapons. And one of them's a lasso. His name in Sanskrit is Ashloka. But like those sort of synchronicities, how would you investigate that from a scientific perspective? Like that consciousness?
Yeah. First of all, you are co-creating, you are a co-creator. Yeah. So intention is a frequency. And so the truth is stranger than fiction. Wouldn't you rather know the truth than living a lie? And so the bridge to the invisible world is your imagination. I'm going to repeat that. The bridge to the invisible world is your imagination. And as little children, they shut down that part of the brain on purpose through societal conditioning and programming and telling you Santa Claus doesn't exist, telling you all of these different things. They shut down that part of our brain, which is imagination, which is the bridge to the invisible world. There's a story that Brother Api tells that, he was at a ceremony, Ibogaine ceremony, and the shaman comes to him and says, hey, go to the moon, close your eyes, go to the moon. There's someone who wants to talk to you. Go to the moon. And he says, what are you talking about to the shaman? He says, I haven't taken any medicine. And then, the shaman comes back and says, hey, go to the moon. There's someone who wants to talk to you. He said, I haven't taken the medicine yet. Shaman comes back the 3rd time and tells him, hey, listen, go to the moon. There's someone who wants to talk to you. Finally, he kind of gets the message. He closes his eyes and he imagines he's on the moon. And there is his grandmother waiting for him. And they have a wonderful, beautiful conversation. And, he comes back and what he says is, what I learned from that is that the bridge to the invisible world is your imagination. What you imagine to be happening is really happening. It's a frequency. And so is intention. So in your meditation, where you had in your 3rd eye, which is spiritual sight, which is all the ancient Egyptians, there's a very specific reason. Remember, there's no time, only consciousness moving through different densities. Okay. And when a soul decides to incarnate, it comes in 12, right? One, I am divine, you are the branches. One soul branch becomes 12. And it's on different timelines too. So there's a part of you possibly in Egypt. There's a part of you possibly in Tibet. There's a part of you that understands.
Sorry, I'm listening to this dude.
That you needed a lasso, and that you needed these things for the next step in your life to complete your soul mission and what you came here to do. And so this is all explainable via science. But what I would also say is, you also talked about astral traveling. I think it's very, very important to know that there's a lower 4th astral world where disembodied energies and entities hang out. And it's a vibration, it's an oscillation. And if we're going to travel in the astral world, or we're like a lot of us do when we go to sleep, our consciousness travels. Well, it's very important to put ourselves in a protective capsule where we can travel safely in a protected way and not come back with disembodied energies and entities which are attached to us, right? So it's very important to start understanding the invisible world, who we're working with, what entities we're working with, who we're calling in. And so it's important for me now, when I start working with the invisible world, to really set my parameters. That's why the first thing I did when I opened up this call was I said, by the love of eternal source I am, I've set a barrier on the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual plane of unconditional love. Only those beings of unconditional love who have the best interest in, this meeting in mind and those of humanity. So it's really important that we send verbal frequency, protection before we travel, and really start understanding who in the invisible world we're working with. And so
that assumes
yeah.
intention in the travel. And this was more like, so I imagined that this force, Kali, came alive, and I imagined an ancestral water goddess, a local. And I said, how could I imagine that? So it's almost like they came to me, and and then what that experience of that Shakti does for my current estate is in a psychiatric or psychological, then you get grandiosity. So then my job is to kill Putin on the astral plane. I didn't ask to go to the astral plane. Kali jumped into me and said, come on, let's go get Putin. And I couldn't get through. I was stuck. And I didn't know where I was. And I came back and I've never astral jumped before. And I came back and I was like, what, and I opened my eyes. Oh, I'm in my room. And then I went to do a breathing exercise. And when I breathed in, I started coughing. And then this other goddess, giant mountain water goddess, appears, stands up and pushes me, comes over and pushes it. It's like, what's that little blue? And Kali was not black. She was blue, like a Smurf, like sapphire blue. And it was crazy. But then to have this, even though has taught me, just being in proximity to it, that these synchronicities happen. I mean, certainly the lasso immovable guardian was pretty cool, and he didn't have the actual lasso in his hand. But for me as an intellectual, it becomes, what does the lasso represent, and how could my consciousness as part of the whole be aggrandized into thinking that my job is to get some demon out of Putin. And then Jesus intervened. I mean, it was like Psycho, and I imagined it.
So I think it's really important. Like every saint who's ever been alive, if they were not grounded and rooted and had a tangible way of explaining what they're experiencing and a way that they could relate, that's what Jesus spoke in parables, right? He was engaged, he was with the people, he knew how to be with the people. And so they would be thrown into a psychiatric hospital, right? Because if someone goes running around and saying, this happened to me, and they were ungrounded, unrooted, unable to explain it, and in their upper chakras, and unable to ground it into the physical plane. I am the son of God. I am what they throw them into a psychiatric hospital and they put them on psych numbing meds. So I think it's really important also that when we do these journeys, that we do take time to integrate. We take time to journal. We take time to put our feet on the earth. We take time to jump into the water. We take time to be on the earth and to be able to take these frequencies that are being shown to us and really bring them down into our lower chakras and understand on a grounded level what it is that our higher self is trying to show us and what message it is. Why these archetypes, right? The fierce warrior of Kali, it's an archetype, is coming in, and for what reason? Oh, okay, I'm entering into this step in my life, and I needed that type of archetype in my energy field in order for me to do it. Whatever it is, it's important to ground and root it in, and to journal it in, and to be able to explain it and talk about it on a physical plane in a way that is grounded and centered.
All I did was move her statue from a windowsill to an altar. I said, "Oh, she wants to be with the other goddesses," and then she came alive as soon as I closed my eyes.
So I mean, there's a reason for everything, right? And so I would just say, like, be true to your own journey, to thyself be true, but also take time to root and ground it, and surround yourself with people who are able to not judge you, and to be able to fully just, unconditionally love you, a tribe, who doesn't label you but accepts you for who you are. It's important for us to have that with us. Yeah. Cool.
I can only feel the evil stuff. I don't see it. I only see cool. I only see good stuff. So I'm like, what? And
It's
also,
all good. Yeah,
although I
it's all
did
good.
when we put the rings around Putin's neck and this demon came out, and right before we got there was this big like giant thing.
Yeah.
The message was like, he needs to be squeezed with love. Like it's not just getting his throat,
Yeah.
it's actually being surrounded by love and feeling loved. Because my experience is that other things just get burned up by my aura before they can get to me. And then the thing is to not be afraid of them, because then they feed off the fear.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Beautiful.
But I will work on that.
Can I jump
Yeah.
in? There's 15 minutes left of our 24 hours, and there's a bunch of questions in the chat. I don't know, Dr. Lee, if you want to deal with any of them, but feel free to check them. But I definitely believe psychic children are targeted by like demonic whatever, like archons maybe, to kind of split their aura or fracture their personality as far as sexual abuse goes. And I think sexual abuse is so huge in the addiction community. I did have a curiosity about the veterans work that you've done, but I am conscious of the fact that we have 15 minutes left. So is there anyone that wanted to jump in, or did Dr. Lee, did you want to deal with some of those questions?
Sure. Yeah. We can deal with a few questions, and then maybe we'll just kind of end it all together. Let me see if I can see any of these questions coming in. Let's see. We all have clairs, clairsentient, clairvoyance, claircognizant, clairtangence, clairaudience. These are intuition, the way in my mind we hear from God. Yeah, that's very true. As we start activating our upper stranded DNA, our higher sensory perceptions is what I like to call them, start activating, and we can start. These are actually our birthright. So everybody is clear everything eventually if they are just clearing and becoming who they really are. We can all grow in them, just like prayer is true. It's all an energy. Okay, let's see. I dwell in the bright Christ light. Beautiful. The Christ light is in me, around me, and through me. Yeah, beautiful. That's from Lewis. Okay, beautiful. Yeah. I'm not seeing necessarily any questions. I'm just seeing a lot of comments, which is beautiful. People are sharing together. Yeah, and I saw Leo, you mentioned and something that's very close to my heart. I want to offer a new, fresh perspective about what's happening to these amazingly gifted, talented indigo children, some like to call them, who are coming into Earth on service contracts. And ending up in psychiatric hospitals on mind-numbing medications. So indigo children are children who come in with their 4th, 5th, and 6th stranded DNA already online. Okay, what does that mean? Remember I said every DNA strand is access to a level of perception. They're coming in on service contracts to humanity. And so because their 4th, 5th, and 6th stranded DNA is already online, they can sense a wider range of frequencies. They're more sensitive. You talk about clairaudience, clairfeeling, they can feel things that other people cannot feel. Unfortunately, the psychiatric industry has been designed to try to make people fit in rather than stand out. So when they feel things other people can't feel, they label them immediately when they come to a psychiatrist with schizophrenia, or they label them with anxiety, or they label them and they put them on mind-numbing medications that shut down the second energy center, the chakra, that shut down the third eye. And a lot of these children will end up in the cycle of getting on meds, more meds, side effects, more meds, side effects, nothing's working. Eventually, the medication's causing a chemical imbalance rather than fixing one, and ending up in a psychiatric hospital. So I used to work with these psychiatric hospitals. I used to do rounds at these hospitals and see these beautiful, amazing, some of our most spiritual children literally on mind-numbing meds, locked up, when they're actually here on service contracts to humanity. And so a lot of these third world countries understood that when these children at an early age start having these experiences with the invisible world, they're actually not crazy, but they have a gift with the invisible world. And if they can find a mentor, someone who understands how to navigate the invisible world, and if they can find a community that does not judge them or label them or put them on mind-numbing meds, but actually embraces their gift, through the community and through the mentor, they can learn how to navigate the invisible world and develop their gifts. And eventually they can actually become the local town shaman. So these children, indigo children, are coming in with a service contract to humanity, and many of them are ending up in psychiatric hospitals because our current Western psychiatric system does not understand the invisible world at all. So I think exactly, yeah, beautiful. They're sensitive, and eventually though they can learn how to develop their sensitivity into a gift, where they can feel and where they can see things and not be scared by them, but use that sensitivity as a gift to serve, as a gift to serve humanity, as their original contracts were written for. And so I think it's really important to continue to meet as groups like this. Thank you, Leo, for all of the work you are doing to legalize some of these beautiful sacred tools that are being given to us. I think more than ever, community, non-judgment, coming together as a family, one human family, is so important, especially for these children, to have an environment where they are not judged, where they are seen, where their gifts are recognized, and they can have the support of aunties and uncles, and hopefully more and more communities, eco villages with clean water, fresh water, and will start to pop up here and there, these healing centers. And make no mistake about it, Source has a plan, and love wins. So what an amazing, amazing journey to be on together as a collective. Yeah, love wins. Higher oscillation trains lower vibration. So really now just tuning in to the legalization of our mushroom friends, our psilocybin consciousness, just like the psilocybin underneath the earth. It's the carbon nature. It's what gives life to everything. They're so intelligent, like an underground internet mycelial network. That's how trees communicate. It's when one tribe member or needs nutrients, effortlessly they send the nutrients through the mycelial interground network. And so we want to as below, so above, as the mushrooms are teaching us. That's how the neural pathways connect in our brains too, right? As within, so without. So we want to connect every single part of our brain through this love network of love, right? And anytime there's a weak tribal member, we want to be able to send nutrients their way. We want to be able to legalize these consciousness increasing plants, which help people wake up, which help people break addiction, which can help people if facilitated in the right setting intention, and in the right environment. So really, really adding intention and energy to this movement of legalization of and decriminalization of our plant relatives, especially psilocybin. Johns Hopkins studies are showing, the high impact they can have for depression, for anxiety, for addiction. I'm seeing in my personal practice people literally, having success, like 75 years of therapy cannot do in 1 3 to 4 hour sitting. This trauma, obviously it's an ongoing process, is released, healed, forgiven, and these things are possible. Rapid healing is possible, and these sacred tools, which are now coming back into our awareness, are here to help. And so just a tremendous amount of gratitude here to Leo and the team here for all of the energy and effort that they're putting in to make this happen for the state of Washington. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So much gratitude, and it's a joy and an honor to be a part of this movement. So I think we have 5 minutes left. Anything else coming through for anybody that they wanted to share with the group?
Yeah, Dr. Lee, I'll go ahead and speak up for a second. through my journeys, I have been reconnected with the power of sound. And I'm just learning about it and where to go. And I used to play music when I was younger, and I quit, and it just tore a hole in me. But anyway, I'm just curious. Like I had asked in the chat, I don't know, are we able to reach out and make a connection with you? Because I want to see. I know that frequency and the power of sound are going to help me transform, and I'm just
Sure.
feeling it. Just everything about frequency and energy is speaking to me loudly. I'll let you talk.
Yeah. Yeah, Casey, thank you, brother. So first of all, amazing. Music will save the world. Music is the one thing our plants still listen to our music and love our music. Human beings have done a lot of things and not a lot of things amazingly, but music is what our nature is the universal frequency of sound. And so happy to hear, brother, that you're sparking that love for music. And it's what will save the world. It is the frequency. Oh, there's the handpan. What a beautiful, amazing instrument. Yeah, what an amazing instrument that is, the handpan. Galactic. I just got my first one too, brother. So amazing. And yes, brother. So we're all family here, and so yeah, Leo, if you want to put in the sound chat, my I don't know how to chat on this thing, but if you want to put my email address in there, feel for those who feel called, feel free to reach out, and we can support each other along this path and journey. Um, with 3 minutes left, what I want to do is, I believe that energy equals mc squared. Energy equals mass. Einstein said the speed of light squared, c squared. No, but it's consciousness squared, right? So when 16 people can tune into the same frequency, 16 squared, right? What is that? That's a lot of power. That's a lot of energy. So what I really want to do right now is tune in for the last 2 minutes here, into the legalization of psilocybin. Our intention as a group is the legalization of psilocybin and adding intention and energy to the movement, and to what Leo is doing here, to what all of us are doing. So I want us to go ahead and just kind of put your left hand on your heart here and take a slow, deep breath into your heart. Hold and let it all go. One more slow, deep breath into the heart and let it all go. And last one, slow, deep breath in and let it all go. And right now, just calmly, as you focus on your third eye, we're adding intention and finding the frequency of gratitude as a group. E equals mc squared, consciousness squared. So all of our consciousness now combine into gratitude. And we want to visualize and feel that psilocybin in this movement, that the legalization and decriminalization goes to the board. It is approved by the board. And systems are developed where this beautiful plant is now being facilitated, decriminalized. Ceremonies are being held legally across this beautiful, amazing state of Washington. And other states tune into that potential and start legalizing, decriminalizing all around, really all around America. And what happens in America then starts springboarding into other countries. And our children start becoming healed. Anxiety and depression, addiction starts being improved. And a new global paradigm of mental health starts forming, one ceremony at a time, one intention at a time, one breath at a time. I'm sure for Leo, one email and one phone call and so many other things at a time. And we feel gratitude in advance for all of the plants coming together right now to help. And we know that love wins, love wins, love wins, higher oscillation and trains lower vibration. So we always come back to love, always. And so we take a breath into the heart, unconditional self-love for ourselves. And with the exhale, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. My new mantra, thank you, thank you, thank you. Gratitude, gratitude for every single soul on this phone call and for the creation of a new global paradigm of mental health, one state at a time. May it be so, may it be so, may it be so. So thank you all so much for joining me. We are 1 minute over. Have a beautiful, beautiful, blessed day. It's 1 a.m. here in Thailand, so I'm about to go get some shut-eye. All right, love, light, peace, and truth to all sentient beings. Have a beautiful day, family.
I'm just going to say something briefly before we end. And that is that when I think about Dr. Lee, I think about authenticity and what does it mean to break away from job and status and position and like the Western viewpoint of addiction, and to bring new ways forward. And I was a social worker working with different populations of color, but primarily Native American, really stands out to me, and was at the Indian Child Welfare Office for quite a while. And I would go to the legal ayahuasca church. And before that, I was in family treatment court, which was a court working with families with who have chemical dependency in the child welfare system. And people would get busted for cannabis and things like that. So I found my position was one of like being big brother and busting people's balls. Meanwhile, I had the privilege of going on the weekends to my ayahuasca community that was legal because I was attending the Santo Daime church at that time, even though I'm Jewish. And I would just say that stepping away from that world and working for government and choosing to do plant medicine advocacy has felt like a scary position to take. But seeing myself as a substance use professional also at the Seattle Indian Health Board and working with primarily men that were getting out of like racist incarceration for long periods of time and shoving 12-step at them made me feel sick about myself. And I feel like I was living a lie and that was like splitting me in two inside myself. So, you know, this work that I'm doing is not just the work for the plant medicine and for the plant medicine spirits and for the people that can benefit, but it's also my work. It's my personal work. And I feel like sharing that intimacy and vulnerability of my personal work as a woman in leadership in the plant medicine community and receiving all the support that I do is very meaningful to me because I see a lot of leaders in my midst. And I am very humbled by Dr. Lee's presence. And I feel like we've been very honored today to have received his wisdom. So I just want to say thank you to him and thank you to all of you. I see you all as leaders. So thank you and peace out, everyone. And I'll see you at the next one, March 11th, men's storytelling, really, you know, shining a light on men and their experiences and honoring their experiences and holding space for them. Okay, have a good one.